Welcome to Amit Shakil's 5858 War and Love Report. I am Amir. Following is the compilation of major headline news which were broadcasted by the major American news networks. Those included PBS, Democracy Now, NBC, ABC, CBS. I didn't include the headlines of CNN and Fox News because I couldn't find them. I also didn't include the European English Broadcasting Channel because they don't have a American kind of news structure or presentation pattern. Southern California. These are the PBS News Hour headlines. Medicaid recipients in Arkansas fight to get their health care back after the end of their pandemic era extension.
I was told by the person at the front desk that I was denied. I didn't even get a chance to, submit other paperwork or have a conversation with the caseworker. Like, I'm completely and utterly confused.
Then a look at the rising cost of buying a car in America and a new method of delivering aid that sends in resources before disaster hits. Russia unleashed a barrage of drone attacks on a Ukrainian port critical to the grain trade on the eve of a new diplomatic effort to get Russia to rejoin the deal that allowed Ukrainian grain safe passage through the Black Sea. 2 people were reported injured in the attack on the port along the Danube River, which is now the main route for grain shipments since the Black Sea deal fell apart in July. Tomorrow, Turkish President Erdogan is to meet Russian President Putin in the resort city of Sochi to press Russia to rejoin the deal. Meanwhile, late today, Ukrainian President Zelensky said he is replacing his defense minister. In a statement, he said after more than 550 days of war with Russia, ministry needed new approaches. A judge has thrown out a redistricting plan pushed by Ron DeSantis, saying it dilutes the voting power of black residents. At issue is the 5th congressional district. The redrawn map moved black voters into white districts. Democratic incumbent out of office. The judge told the Republican-controlled legislature to come up with a new map. The states expected to appeal. And at the counterculture, Burning Man Festival in the remote desert outside Reno, Nevada, heavy rain triggered flash floods and stranded tens of thousands of festival goers. Organizers have shut down access by vehicles and attendees have been told to conserve food. There has been one death which the sheriff office is investigating. At least another quarter inch of rain was expected today. The festival is to end tomorrow. These are the NBC headline news. Alarming development at the Burning Man festival, with police investigating at least one death, with tens of thousands still trapped in the desert. The such stunning scenes. People stuck after massive flooding. Spectators trudging through mud want to go, rather conserve food and water. Chris Rock posting his miles-long trek to get out. What authorities are saying about how long shelter in place could last. Extreme weather alerts from a massive wildfire in Texas to millions sweltering under record high temperatures. That scorching heat on the move. We have the forecast. Heading home, the latest on the holiday. Travel crush at the airports and on the roads. We'll tell you the best time to beat the crowds. The urgent manhunt, a convicted killer spotted on surveillance camera less than 2 miles from the prison where he escaped. Neighbors are now living and authorities new tributes for Jimmy Buffett as the music icon's cause of death is revealed. An horrific plane crash happening in the middle after gender reveal party. Our celebration quickly turned tragic. Officer to the rescue, the heroic policeman rushing in to revive an 18-month-old boy.
Fell in just 24 hours, swamping what's normally a desert. Redmond Shannon explains what campers are being told to do and how they're coping.
Burning Man normally takes place under the burning Nevada sun.
Ooh, feels like a mud bath.
Not this year. Torrential rain over the past 2 days has turned it into a swamp. Police say one person has died, although the circumstances are unclear. They are also telling the tens of thousands of festival goers to stay put and to not try to drive through the mud.
I heard the rangers, if they catch you, will stop you from driving on it because this makes matters worse at times.
Organisers are asking everyone to conserve water and food too.
It might be here till Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday next week. It just depends, and we don't even know. A lot of people have run out of food and water, and some people are stealing things because that's what happens when things get weird. There's a little bit of this like Lord of the Flies vibe.
However, it appears most festival goers are embracing Burning Man's ethos of community and self-reliance. The event has taken place in Nevada's Black Rock Desert since 1990.
A bunch of really nice people that are sharing what they have. Our camp brings out supplies, and we have kind of a makeshift kitchen where we prepare 2 meals a day.
Some have made it out, including US DJ Diplo and comedian Chris Rock.
Everything is left behind, but I have my boots. That's all I have right now.
Las Vegas man Manny Kess also managed to get out on Saturday, despite local officials urging people to shelter in place.
I understand it's federal land. They can stop you from entering, but legally they cannot stop you from leaving.
With more rain on Sunday, it's unclear if many more people will be able to get out once the festival wraps. On Monday, Redmond Shannon, Global News.
And still in Nevada, thunderstorms have swamped Sin City with heavy rain and flooding. Cars drove through roads that looked more like rivers. Even the famous Las Vegas Strip was flooded. One person has died. Officials believe the person drowned. The storm has moved on, and sunny, dry weather is in the forecast. A typhoon is set to crash into southeastern China and Hong Kong, leaving more than 130 million people on alert tonight. The powerful storm has already hammered Taiwan. As Mackenzie Gray explains, it's the biggest storm to hit that island since 2019.
Barreling into Taiwan, Typhoon Haikui leaving a trail of destruction. More than 40 people injured and nearly 120,000 without power as the storm lashed the eastern part of the island. Flights and trains were canceled, with planes in Taipei needing to be tied down to avoid being blown away by the 155-kilometer-per-hour winds. The Taiwanese president urging people to stay home to avoid the worst storm to hit the island in 4 years. The weather should improve in 2 days, allowing the focus to shift to cleaning up. A situation many in Florida are in right now, after Hurricane Idalia slammed the state last week.
It was really windy and the water got really high, but it wasn't terrible. I lost power and water, but I'm still here.
The extensive damage ruining many homes and businesses, leaving some unsure how they'll rebuild.
There's no flood insurance on any of these low-lying buildings. So only anything called damage by water they won't cover.
A situation many others will likely face in the future, as increased ocean temperatures from climate change will allow for stronger storms.
I think what we're starting to see is another clear climate signal is the frequency in which storms can undergo rapid intensification.
Idalia has now moved back out over water, joining a tropical traffic jam in the central Atlantic Ocean, where there are now 4 named storms with the potential to cause more damage. But right now, Neithu, none are forecasted to hit Canada or the U.S.
All right, Mackenzie Gray in Ottawa. Thanks, Mackenzie. Stormy weather is being embraced in Hay River, Northwest Territories, where steady rainfall is keeping a nearby wildfire at bay. Favorable winds and lower temperatures are also helping, but the fire is still raging just a half-kilometer away from the town. Emergency crews managed to keep the fire from reaching the only highway into the community. About 463,000 hectares of land have been scorched so far. Climate activists have long urged large corporations to prioritize being green over greed. Now environmentalists are increasingly taking aim at the people leading those companies and what they do outside of the office. And Gaviola explains the enormous effect the ultra-wealthy has on the planet and what critics are calling for. Environmental activists have long had big corporations in their crosshairs, but increasingly they're targeting the 1%.
I do think the ultra-wealthy lifestyles, the amount of carbon they burn, is over the top and irresponsible and unacceptable.
Private jets and super yachts, symbols of the unsustainable lifestyles of the rich and famous. The backlash comes with growing evidence that billionaires are bad for the planet, fueling frustration that although the pandemic dealt a major financial blow to the lowest income households, the rich got richer. Of the $57 trillion in new wealth generated since the pandemic, $35 trillion, or about 2/3, has been accumulated by the world's richest 1%, and the 125 richest billionaires each emit more than 1 million times more carbon than the average person in the bottom 90%, according to research by Oxfam. Wealthier countries and individuals have a greater ability to shield themselves from or deal with the devastation of climate change, a luxury developing nations and marginalized communities can't afford. Case in point, last year's historic flooding in Pakistan hit children and women in the poorest regions the hardest.
Women who were fleeing the flooding in Pakistan, which was linked to the climate emergency, led to a crisis in maternal care.
Environmentalists are advocating for a higher price on pollution as well as a global wealth tax.
We also call for a tax or an outright ban on the planet-wrecking luxuries of the super rich.
Tax collected from those with money to burn could be used to fight or mitigate the impact of pollution and increasingly frequent and intense natural disasters. Still, some warn that focusing on the ultra-wealthy shouldn't absolve everyone else of personal responsibility.
When you start adding up all of the SUVs and all of the number of trips to store and back where you could just as easily walk it or take public transport, the fact is we're doing way more damage than they are with their private jets.
Anne Gaviola, Global News, Toronto. New Brunswick has one. Now Saskatchewan has a policy on gender pronouns in schools. If a child or teen under 16 wants to change their preferred name or pronoun, they'll need their parents' permission. An LGBTQ2+ group in Regina calls that
CBS headline news: trapped in the desert, heavy rain and mud leave thousands stranded at Nevada's Burning Man festival. One death under investigation. Organizers tell attendees to conserve food and water. It could be days before roads are passable. Can you set the mood as far as what it's like? Right there, right now, there are people here who are really struggling and who are just itching and aching to get out. Also, September sizzle, much of the country is in for a new round of potentially record-breaking heat. We will have your Labor Day forecast. Nationwide, recall the popular brand of meat products being pulled from store shelves. What you need to know. Report card: many of America's children are catch up in school tonight. The post-pandemic challenges for educators, parents and students, and later perfectly imperfect, a lesson for humans from pets commanding our attention. Is as happy as he can be, so nobody has to feel sorry to him. Thank you for watching and privilege of your time. This is Amir Shakil 5858. I am Amir Woodman. Have a good life.